Liquorland are proud partners of the DeeBrief for another season of AFL, and what a massive year ahead it is. Now that footy's back, Liquorland have all your drinks sorted for when the siren goes.
Hoping for a very chill flag this year.
I'll tell you what is chill. Smithies. They're severely underrated.
Yeah, it'd be good to get a few of them in the studio again. I'm sure we can sort that out, mate. But pop into your local Liquorland today or shop online for all your favourites. Liquorland, from the land you love. Please, as always, drink responsibly. Fellas, let's get into it.
Here we go.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the official, unofficial podcast of the Melbourne Demons. Back in the studio, season 2023 is just upon us. It's bloody exciting. It's awesome to be in the Castaway studios out of Collingwood. We've got our man Derek paneling with us. I think he's going to get very cozy over the journey. We'll probably defect from St Kilda to Melbourne by the end of the season. We don't want to go for those lousy pricks, Derek. But it is very good to have Marca in the studio. Welcome, mate.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm pumped, actually.
It's good to be here. It's good to be in Melbourne, mate.
I know, man. You're enjoying it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great city.
And where are you? North side, of course.
Northcote.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's very you.
It's easy. I know it. It's good. I was in Thornbury prior, so it's near Syracuse. Shouts out to Syracuse. Really good fruit and veg shop.
Nice.
Wholesale. Great place.
And I don't want to offend any of our listeners, but Matt Adams, you look like you're from Brighton at the moment in your get-up with the collared shirt.
It's just
you're
about to roll into gate two
I'm feeling very MCC.
Yeah, and you're looking it.
Actually.
And you're absolutely looking it.
Let's change that.
Let's mix it up.
What do you got for him? Another hoodie?
Not a hoodie.
No. Oh, it's Canterbury. That's still MCC.
That'll play.
That's
At least I got
MCC.
some D's. Yeah.
Here you go, mate.
Missed the memo for that one.
There you go. Are you going to go tops off as well? This is a video podcast now.
No,
so.
well, I'll wait.
Yeah, let's
I'll go.
you know.
I'll go above.
Is it top? I mean,
Oh, he's going over the top.
Gonna be sweating up.
Nice. Boys, it's bloody exciting. It's going to be a huge year. I like that Melbourne is suddenly going into a season without the same type of pressure that we saw last season. Even though we were quite chill after the 10-0, I think a lot of opposition supporters revelled in our demise in that second half. What was it? 6-8, I think, after the bye, if you include finals.
6? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It was a capitulation. And it was funny because I think we were in denial. We were speaking about round 23, and when we smashed Brizzy at the Gabba, we thought we were back. It wasn't the case. We fell in a heap. And the greatest thing for me was seeing the club over the break, addressing that and talking about the fact that it wasn't good enough. They needed to change their game plan. And what we've seen in these two practice matches, and yes, they are practice matches, so it's not a big deal. But the one thing that we did see, Marca, like fast ball movement, finally. We've been crying out for that.
I think having the confidence to go forward quickly means that you have to have confidence in your forwards, and that is a byproduct of actually having two key pillars down there in Brown and T-Mac. Are they as good as Cameron and Hawkins? Absolutely not. But they are so important to us structurally. We need them on the park. We love what Ruin may bring us in the future, but let's be honest, if we're to win a flag, we can't be pinning our hopes on someone who hasn't played a game.
No, I don't think so. And then I think Max even came out today.
Yesterday.
Adzy.
Oh, no, it was this morning.
Yeah,
on
this
radio.
morning on SEN and explained that Ben Brown's definitely in front of him in the pecking order. I don't think anyone's surprised anymore.
No, but that's how it should be.
Yeah.
It looks good as well. Like, I feel like last year at the end of the year, we had so many people with niggles, and I think Brown is one of them. I feel like when he's a player that does have a niggle, he's slower than usual, whereas now he looks good, and we just need that delivery going to him as well. So if we can put it on top of his head, he'll mark it, and then if he has a shot, he's one of the best set shots going around.
The shaved head as well is looking
It's
primo.
changed. Yeah.
He's looking primo.
Yeah, and he raised a lot of money, of course, for cancer.
Shout
doing
outs
that.
to him for that. That's good.
He's a great man for doing that. But no, Melbourne look good. They look fit. They look primed. All the messages coming out of the camp are great. So the pracky against the Saints, I think it was a 59-point win in the end. 4 periods. It was a bit of a strange setup. But the one we want to talk about in a little bit of detail, but not indulge too much, because I keep saying this, it was just a pracky. 50-point win against Richmond, who are also seen as a premiership fancy. We scored 18 goals, a little bit wayward. We kicked 13 behinds, but 121 points. Track was on fire. Clary was on fire. The back four are on fire. It's flag.
Yeah, it's flag. But no. If I'm being honest,
Pretty flaggy.
It's very flaggy. But I don't know. My main worry is if we, I'm just sort of scarred from last year. If we peak early again, like Geelong, it's sort of just going under the radar. I know last year they didn't do anything in the preseason, and then they just peak at the right time. I just hope we're not going too hard too early, and then we just drop off again. We need to be able to rest these players and just keep that going.
Yeah, I think that's the other good thing about us is that, personnel, we've got an abundance of people who are waiting in the wings, who are like nipping at everyone's feet to get an opportunity. So if niggles do come, I do have confidence in our players that are going to come in and play their role and whatnot. But I didn't see us as like going downhill last year, but the key injuries like to T-Mac and so you have to improve to go back to back. And going back to back,
Tricky.
not many people go back to back, man. Like we got one in 57 years. Let's just celebrate that. But I just reckon if we are fit, like as we are right now, Richmond don't worry me. I think we match up really well against Richmond. Like the thing that's really scares me about Richmond is like Lynch, but May has him. Like I feel like May has got that covered.
Also a fit Dusty, but I think Richmond is sort of getting pumped up a lot because of two pickups.
Yeah.
And it's a Taranto and was it Hopper?
Yeah.
Are they going to change them from what did they finish 7th or 8th to a premiership? I don't know. You never write off a champion team, but Dusty, I don't know if he's still the same player he was 3-4 years ago, and he could absolutely kill me for saying that. But I just hope he doesn't explode again.
The thing with Dusty is now that they can play him forward more, and that's scary. But in terms of like Cochin, he's pretty much done. You know what I mean? And like Rewalt, like
Grimes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like and I feel like if you win 3, like the hunger just isn't there. I mean, they had Castagna who just retired because he's like, I'm off it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
regret that hard, by the way.
He's not even like that old. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
Of course, and why not? You've won 3 flags, and like that's fine. But we have the hunger's there for us a lot more so than Richmond.
Especially the G.
I don't see the Richmond hype. We're going to get into it a little bit later. We'll speak about some of the other contenders. They're saying it's the most open year ever in AFL history. Some journos, some media personalities saying that 6-7 teams can win it. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think there's probably a big 4, and we'll talk about them later, but just off the top, Geelong, Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne for me. I think it's a clear top 4. I know Nathan Buckley was speaking about this the other day as well on SEN. Like, I totally agree with him. I think those 4 teams are absolutely primed. Then I think there's a bit of a drop-off.
For sure. But it's not out of the ordinary for a team or 2 teams to kind of come out of the blue and come into their own within a year. And I can see that happening with a Dogs.
Maybe.
I think Liam Jones, like, it's a massive wild card, but they've needed that kind of more key pillar down back. Lobb is an interesting player, but he was really important for Freo, and I think they're going to slide because of him going out, and they're resting their laurels on a 20-year-old and 5 who has barely got on the park in the past few years. But they do have Barfridge, who is a favourite of mine.
Lobb's a funny one.
Who's Barfridge?
Have a think of who Barfridge is.
Barfridge.
Oh, he looks like a little,
Yeah, Lockie Schultz. Barfridge, that really got me. The thing about Lobb as well is I reckon people just underestimate him because he's got that look of a shit bloke.
He's not hot.
He's got like I don't know what he's like. I'm just saying he's got the look. He's got the like punchable face. He's just one of those players that you look at him and you go, "Oh, nah, don't like him. I'm going to be judgmental."
He kind of looks like a villain in like a 90s movie.
He was really good last year though.
He was real. Like he smashed us when we. May did go down in the first quarter.
And can I preface that as well, and not like having a dig at Lobb, and it doesn't matter because no Freo supporters will be listening to this, but like people say the same thing about Fritter. People say he's got the most punchable face.
Yeah, for sure.
Same as Clary as well.
And he shits them.
Yeah, and Harms. Actually, we've got a lot of
got heaps of punchable people that we love.
We do. No, it's true. just talking about the game against Richmond in a little bit more detail, probably my biggest takeaway, aside from some of these younger players who had good games themselves, like Bowie and Rivers and Sparrow and the like, is when we're really up and running, the best thing about us is Lever, May, Petty now, who's becoming an absolute freak of a player, so underrated, and Angus Brayshaw as well, who's going to play at halfback, which is exactly where you want him. You want that extra layer of defensive security, I guess you'd call it. But when Melbourne are in their groove, it's when those guys are just intercepting at will. And I think they had something like circa 30 intercept possessions between the four of them. If they get it right this year and we get back to a side that's hardly conceding week on week more than 10 goals, going to be incredibly tough to beat. And I don't think Melbourne will go away from that. I think Melbourne know that defence is going to win us games of footy. And in saying that, with the back four, and I don't know if both of you saw this, but how many times did mids and high half forwards drop into the hole? Constantly dropping into the hole. So I think we'll finally see Melbourne getting back to that two-way running, which was lacking second half of the year.
But we used to do that with Max in 2021 when we won the flag. So, and it's sort of interesting picking up Grundy and the fact those two are clearly going forward. So that's obviously something that's been discussed, that those mids really do need to work back hard now. Yeah. And it's so, like, I honestly think we're going to have to change it mid-year. If one of those key backs goes down, we have to sort of swing Max and just be like, you need to go and help out there. Otherwise, we'll just concede. Those, like Lever and May and Petty, they are so important. They're not the sexy players to watch, really. Well, May can be. Like, they're not your Petrakas and Olivers, but they're the game winners.
Did you see who, going back on Buckley, did you see who he had as his top two players in the comp?
Gawn?
May?
And, yeah.
Gawn and May?
Yeah.
Far
As
out.
in top two,
He
like,
said that,
important, or...
I think it was importance.
Yeah.
Or impact.
So, as in, just not just for the Ds, for the whole
Comp.
league.
Comp.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, can I...
Great call.
Yeah.
Well done, Bucks.
And, like,
Can I double down on that?
Please.
So the captains do their predictions and they all choose who they think's going to make top 8, who's going to be in the grand final.
They
or
said
who the
Oliver
most-
Brownlow, right?
There was 5 captains that chose Clary for the Brownlow, and I think the next best was Andy Brayshaw with 3 captains choosing
Can those
him.
pricks vote him for the MVP then? Like,
Yeah.
they never vote him.
Oh, it's weird, isn't it? Coaches Association, he typically gets that. He's got the last 2 years.
Which is
tied with Tuke Miller last year.
Arguably the best. Like, it's not the most prestigious, but if every single coach thinks for 2 years running you're the best player in the comp, that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
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 It's wild.
It's saying a hell of a lot.
But this is the point that we're probably making. This is such a star-studded list. It's in the absolute sweet spot. We spoke about it on the last potty that we did. Hawthorn 13, 14, 15. If you look at the demographic and the makeup of that team, like, it mirrors exactly where Melbourne are at right now. Especially when you've also got guys that probably don't get spoken about that much, but I think we will more this year because now we've got another specialist winger. Like, you've got Lockie Hunter as a left footer on one wing. You've got Ed Langdon, the sheepdog, on the other wing. Like,
Yeah.
it's just stupid. Like, all over the park right now, there are stars. And I've spoken to a few mates that go for opposition teams over the last few weeks, and they're like, Melbourne clearly has the most stars in their lineup. It's quite incredible to think about that. And it gives me goosebumps as someone that's seen a lot of shit, and you've seen it, and you've seen it. But the difference here is it's like we have to make it count now. It's all good and well having stars in the same way that Essendon did in the late 90s and the early 2000s. But as we know, they only got one flag out of that. They could have easily have three-peated, and they didn't. So we don't want to be one of those teams that you look back on and you're like, fuck, why didn't they win
But
more?
as we said before, winning a flag is so many things have to kind of unfold and happen.
Everything
And,
right
everything
needs to
has
happen.
to go
You need to be-
right
you
at
need
the right
luck as
time of
well.
the year. But you're right. It's like, what's worse, do you think, when we were winning 2 games a year or when we have this amazing list? and it's
Stress-free
like,
was pretty fun.
oh, stress-free
Just,
was
you'd walk into the
cool.
G.
And you're like,
Me-
whatever.
Me and Marca walk in, Nuggets, 2:10, like literally on the dot, straight to
On
the
a
bar.
Sunday.
And then we'd just go down to the seats. Best seat in the house.
No
see
one's
us
there.
get pumped, and then just go home.
Only
And
about
then-
2 bars would be open in
Yeah.
the whole stadium.
That honestly, it's a lot better being good.
Yeah.
But the expectation, like last year, I was exhausted after finals.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
really took it out of me.
Everyone was coming for you.
because we had being the hunted isn't fun, and that's why it's so hard going back to back. Everyone picked us apart. Geelong basically won the flag from picking us apart from the year before, and I'm just so excited now that we can just go back to not being the hunted. Everyone knows we're good, but it's going to be amazing to watch, and if we can stay fit, and if Goodwin can actually manage some players and rest them at the right times, then and we're peaking into finals, then we're going to be pretty hard to stop.
The thing that I like that I romanticize about resting players, but because the comp is so even, it's how do you pick? How do you choose who to rest?
You just got to be gutsy.
Yeah,
You've got
And
to
I
actually,
think,
and a bit arrogant.
Yeah,
You've got to be
and-
like, all right, we're playing North this week.
Yeah.
Petrarca's a tiny bit sore. Let's just not play him.
I think also in terms of bringing in Grundy.
Here we go. Should we go to it? What do we call it? Everyone's going with like Grundy.
I think
can we just call them Gorn and Grundy?
Yeah, no, I don't.
I
They're
don't
two
like 'em.
people. They're two different people.
And
I'm
also-
not going to make them. No, I don't.
I don't want Max and him. Like Max is our love. Like
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
not.
yeah.
You're not in the
It's
circle
gone.
yet.
You're the new
brother.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the new
Yeah,
guy.
it's
and
gone.
you still need to win our love.
Let the media
Yeah.
do their thing, but for us, like it's gone, and he's the captain, and I'm not going to mix his name with anyone else.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe if halfway through the season they're doing some crazy shit, then maybe I'll entertain it. But I don't think so. Anyway, going back to that resting players, we have a guy now that we're like, all right, against North, we can rely on a Grundy just to like do his thing for a whole game.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, if Grundy's a little bit
Yeah.
sore or for whatever reason, that's awesome.
And our depth as well. Like we have so many players knocking on the door. Like you JJ's, I feel so sorry for him. He would pretty much walk into any other midfield in the league, really. Put him in for a game, he'll probably still get 25 touches and play his role. And then you've got Chandler. Like he might play around one, but we do have so much depth. Like if we do stay fit, I just don't see the reason why you wouldn't do it. And Chris Scott has proven that it works.
Yeah. And well done to Geelong for debunking the whole myth around them being, geriatrics and this team that would never get close to a flag ever again because they were just simply too old. Like they did a remarkable job. When you actually look back on it, you're like, far out. Like they nailed their management in the back half of the year and when they rested players and got them absolutely primed. Like they killed it.
And their best performing players were their oldest players in the grand final.
Yeah.
Like Selwood was mental. Obviously Hawkins was crazy.
Dangerfield was best
better.
on.
Dangerfield was unbelievable.
Best on.
Yeah.
Best on.
Jeremy Cameron was pretty sick.
They were
he's pretty good.
they were all good.
yeah. But
Anyway.
Hawkins, seriously, like,
Oh,
Mate,
he's
can
the
you-
first two goals out of the ruck.
Can
Like,
you
what is
just-
Sydney doing? Like, literally crowd him when there's a throw in.
He's
I
getting
can't
better.
believe that.
he's getting better somehow.
He's got to slow down.
Slow down, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so sick.
He's one of the only players that like May does play good games on him, but he's so strong. Hawkins, like he's just thick.
Yeah.
May actually has a bit of trouble against him, that big body.
Yeah. First game for Berrigan Saints against Tom Hawkins in the under-14s. It was an experience.
Well, you
Winded me
you
in the
played
ruck.
against him.
yeah.
Got clobbered.
I remember because
Jeez, he was
he went to grammar, and I remember he played. Well, he did shot put for APS, and like he was just like drinking like a Gatorade and just like sitting there, and they're like, "And Tom Hawkins, you're up next." He just came up and like picked it up like it was like a little thumbtack. Just went.
Throws it out of the park.
Just a quick one.
I was just like, "That's not an 18-year-old. What's going on here?"
We're doing shout-outs on camera now. Shout-out to Richie Johnson. He was the Burke Hall shot put champion in year 7 or year 8, and he hates that. So,
Well done, Rich.
well done,
Oh,
Rich.
Richie. Good stuff, mate.
Just on injury concerns quickly before we go back to Gorn and Grundy, because it's so topical. Viney, Fritter, and Salem are the 3 big ones.
They're pretty good.
I think
Yeah. Don't rest players.
I think Fritter's going to get up by all reports. I think Salem's a no, so maybe a Judd McVie will take his spot or a Hibbo, and then Viney probably touch and go. Might come back round 2, round 3. Would not rush Viney. There's no
Nah.
point.
There's no. You don't rush.
I think-
you don't rush anyone this time of the year.
Nah.
We rushed Max last year against Geelong, and that was dumb.
Yeah, well, that didn't work out, did it?
dumb.
I reckon the Salem one's a bit weird and
Do we?
worries me a
What
little
is?
bit.
Yeah. What's?
He's got like a thyroid problem.
Can someone explain to me
So
what
I read
that does
I read
to
into
you?
it a little bit, and it's like it changes his heart rate.
Okay.
So he can, when he starts running, it's like his heart is beating faster than it should when he's not actually putting in lots of effort. So it sounds horrendous, and apparently he got through it. But that sort of just worries me. I don't know. Like it seems like something. How do you even treat that? Like we're no doctors here, but I know I've read that off Google. So if I'm completely wrong, someone tell me. But
shout out to Wikipedia.
yeah. But that just scares me. And even last year, like he was just struggling. I just hope he doesn't turn into like really injury prone.
So hang on, this is a Melbourne Demons fan podcast, so I'm sure there's some doctors out there, some GPs. So
Please correct me if I'm wrong.
send your information in.
Well, what have you heard? Like, is there a time frame on it, or is it just like
I haven't Googled it like Adzy on Wikipedia.
No, but in terms of what his plan is going forward, or
no one knows. No one knows.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm all for.
He's my boy as
His
well.
hair's
I know.
looking sick and bleached as well.
And he just
just
proposed
got engaged.
as well. Oh, imagine his heart when he dropped the knee
would
as
have
well.
been pumping through that.
Yeah.
He would have been.
Thank God she said yes.
Yeah.
We'll go back to Gawn and Grundy quickly. So the way that we saw it pan out, it's probably more about Gawn than anything else, is the fact that Max, grab your VB. Max is he's going to spend a lot of time forward. He said that he wants to be valued as a forward. I'm into it because it takes the best defender away. That's great. It can free up T-Mac. It can free up Fritter. It can free up, I don't know, a Neil Bullen or a Ben Brown, for example. The thing that I'm not into, and I know he's been working on it a lot, is just that frigging set shot.
Pulls
goal
it to the left
kicking, fucking
every time.
Oh, it's hard to watch.
That's the thing. Like he's a great, and he kicked 3 in the last game, and we've seen him like the prelim where he kicked 5 outrageous goals.
Yeah.
But his set shot isn't good. He's a good target to have up there.
It's definitely improved though.
It's
You'd
getting
still
there.
put him
And
there.
I think we have to
can kick
remember
goals.
that he's 208 centimeters. I don't know many, or 211. I don't know what it is, but like
he's dropping the ball from our head.
how many players that are that tall are really good set shots?
Yeah.
Not many.
It's a good point.
Like,
But
I don't think we should ever look at it as like he should just fix his goal kicking. I think we should just accept the fact that,
And just back it when he kicks them.
yeah, like he's going to miss some mares.
He's
Yeah.
pretty good from like outside 50.
I reckon he's improved out of sight from where he was.
I actually don't like him when he's closer.
I don't like him.
Yeah. No, I love him.
if we can get enough delivery in there and Max can clunk them as he always does, if he's going at 55%, but he's having 50, 60 shots for the year, like we're golden.
And
We're
I think
happy.
the thing that I like about Max is that he has a mindset. I don't know this for sure, but I'm imagining that he has the mindset of that he knows his capabilities. He knows what he's like as a set shot, and he's not going to let outside noise get into his head like a Max Kin, who obviously is a really talented footballer, but it's like the outside noise has just like infiltrated his mind, and it's like he's missed before he's had the kick.
Yeah.
But Max is kind of like, yeah, I miss some.
does.
Sometimes I kick
after the
some.
siren to win the premiership,
Yeah,
which is
I
pretty
sometimes kick some out of the square on the run.
Yeah.
But
I
like,
also
you know.
kicked 5 in prelims. So
Yeah.
why would you care?
So Max forward, it looks like it's going to happen a lot more. Grundy, just quickly on him again. I like the follow-up work. So the one thing about Gawn and protecting his body and making sure that we get another couple of years out of him and bringing Grundy across is that he burdens the load in there in the middle. So he'll get smashed up a bit more than, say, a Gawn will, hopefully. I think that's the plan. But I really liked his groundwork. I thought he was good. I thought he followed up really well. People have spoken about Brodie Grundy as that extra mid. He literally is. Like, the guy is so mobile. He's so agile.
He looks
So I like it.
really fit as well.
Yeah.
Like, God, it's going to be fun if we just get him from Collingwood and they're paying him. And he's just fully fit, plays a full season with us and just dominates.
Yeah, King's birthday is going to be fun.
What's a positive for us is that I feel like he would have a bit of a chip on his shoulder for the way that he was dealt with at Collingwood. And like a couple of years ago, he was like put on a pedestal as this like, oh my God, like Grundy is like unbelievable, and they loved him. And then so quickly they were just like, meh, get rid of him. We don't want him. And I think that's just like a massive plus for us because he has like a point to prove to them to say, actually, you know what? I am still this player and I was injured. And yes, Cox and Cameron came in and played their role, but like I am so far and above both of those players.
I'm an
and
AA
watch me prove it with the other best ruckman in the comp.
I reckon the last bloke I want to talk about before we have a break, did I say break or vape? Is Lockie Hunter. So we got him for the future third.
Got him for a package.
Are we going to talk about bolters?
About what?
Bolters?
Bolters.
Who we think are going to be
Yes,
the bolters?
we are. We're actually going to do that when we come back. So
Okay.
He's pumped.
I've got a lot of time. I got a lot of time.
I've
for my
got a
bolter.
feeling Marca has a bolter.
Oh, do you have one?
I got a bolter.
Okay. I've got a bolter too. But Lockie Hunter. So people have said it. He's got issues with culture and buying in. The thing I'd like to say about that is you're a product of your environment. I've heard a few things about the Bulldogs over the journey. It's not just Lockie Hunter who was playing up or who was out of line down there at the kennel. The other thing as well, the guy was there for like a decade.
Not only that,
He's in a rut.
No.
He's in a rut. He needs a change of environment.
His dad played there.
Yeah.
So he would have grown up as a toddler running around in the change rooms. Like it would have been like a home to him.
Yeah.
He probably just,
But
got sick of it.
that's again reinforces my point. Like this guy's been around this place for so long. And we all know this. Marca went over and did a stint in bloody WA. Needed to go and reset. Needed something fresh. Needed something new. Like this is what humans do. And unfortunately, the downside to when you're somewhere for too long, you can get yourself into a rut, as I said. So for me, with Lockie Hunter, I reckon Melbourne would have just said to him in that meeting before they picked him up, you come here, you put your head down, you buy in, don't stuff up, or you're going to go down and play at Casey. Plain and simple. If you do the hard yards and you buy in and you don't stuff up, there's a specialist winger spot for you right here.
And a flag.
if
And
you
a
want
flag.
yeah. If you want one.
So the Lockie Hunter scenario, or I guess the speculation about him, all the opposition supporters saying, oh yeah, it's great that you've got him and he's a pretty good player, but the downside is like he'll ruin your culture. It's absolute horseshit.
Is this all just from...
It's crap.
Is it just from his drink driving thing, or is there more to it?
I think there's a little bit more to it, but the thing for me is like there are a number of, as we've seen over the journey, and we're not idiots, we know this, like footy players live a charmed life and they like to go out and have a little bit of fun. Like there are a number of different people within football clubs that like you probably need to keep in check. It's not just one bloke that's gone rogue. Like let's get real.
30 different personalities and
Correct.
everyone should
Stephen
be
May's
catered.
belting
accordingly.
people, and
Yeah.
we love him.
Yeah.
And like if we can keep someone like
Our
that,
players as well.
he's punching on with his own players.
Yeah.
And then, like, someone like Lockie Hunter, it's like, yeah, you've made a mistake. He was also vice captain at the Dogs. So he mustn't have been that, poorly liked. He must have had some supporters.
I just think it's been blown up. And the thing that I love about it is now that he's in this new home, and then we saw him during the practice matches, like he's so at home on the left wing there. And he's so experienced. He's been playing this game for so long. They're like, hey, dude, run up and down the wing. Run up and down the wing. Get the ball, hit up passes. I love how he takes the shorter option.
Yeah.
So he doesn't blaze away.
He takes the first and best.
Yeah.
Like,
And I reckon that's what Goody would have said. He would have just been like, mate, we basically know you're good. If you train hard, exactly what you're saying, Naughtsie, then play your game, and then there's no pressure on him. Really, he probably feels natural. It's just fresh for him, a fresh start.
And there's a flag here for you.
And there's also a premiership flag, mate.
yeah. Or there's Casey.
Yeah. Or go out with an AZ and get belted and go to Casey.
Yeah. Really windy down at Casey.
Yeah.
Or a flag.
It's simple. No, really happy with Lockie Hunter. We'll take a break. Adzy can do his thing as well at halftime, and we'll come back and crack open another beer, and we're gonna do the bolters. So we're gonna do the breakout player of the season.
Get ready, Marco.
I've got a lot to say about the bolt.
And we're gonna read out a few of the.
You got a bolt?
The fans have
Well,
sent in a
now
lot.
I'm thinking hard.
Yeah.
Have you got yours?
Well, I mean, it's in my head. I don't know who yours are, so I'm going to try and go a little bit off the grid, I think.
Okay, we'll have a little think. We'll
I've got one. I've got it.
okay, we'll be back in a bit.
I've got a feeling we got the same one.
This halftime break is brought to you by Liquorland. AFL footy is back, and Liquorland have all your drinks sorted for when the final siren goes. This Thursday to Sunday, to kick off the season, Liquorland is offering $2 express delivery when you shop online at liquorland.com.au.
Adzy, you got me onto these smoothies. They're actually not bad.
Not bad, Marca. Smooth as Salem.
Smooth as Salem. Okay. Express delivery is available in Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland. To view the full T&Cs and the latest drink specials, go to liquorland.com.au. Liquorland, from the land you love. And please, as always, drink responsibly. Let's get back into the potty. Righto, so we're back on the airways on the official, unofficial podcast of the Melbourne Demons, The DeeBrief. Should I play your voice memo that you sent through before about Liam Henry? Or
No, it's probably... Well, it's definitely not appropriate.
It's not appropriate. But we've got an inkling, we've got a feeling that something big might be happening next week.
Going to involve a signature?
Let's just say I had a dream
Yeah.
that Cozzy may have signed.
Oh! So you've just put it out there. Cozzy signed, has he?
Well, I had a dream about it, so I don't know.
I've just got a good feeling.
Dreams can come true.
Yeah.
Dreams can. All right, so we're going to talk breakout players. So we'll get stuck into it. I was going to read out the fans' breakout players for the season, but I've been informed by you two that would be completely wrong. So we're just going to start with ourselves.
Don't think that.
Who wants to take the floor?
Marca,
You've been pretty keen.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, we all know that Salem's my favourite player, but this guy
Can you really cue this up as well?
We've got the same one. I know.
Salem is my favourite player for many reasons. We don't need to go into him because we all know what he brings. But this next player, I feel I just feel like he just doesn't do anything wrong. And he did a kick against Richmond, which just personified
We know.
everything about what this guy brings.
A Bunana?
It was a Bunana.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Jake Bowie. And I think that he's just so smart. I just think he brings so much to our backline in terms of creativity. The way he defends as well, he plays bigger than what he is. He's actually good in the air.
Yeah.
We talk about Cozzy signing. This is the next guy that I really want signed going forward. Last year, he couldn't kind of get into the side and whatnot. He's just going to play every single game this year. And I just think he's unbelievable. He's so clever. His ball use is unbelievable. He's just so cool, calm and collected for a player of his age. And you just don't get into the system when you're that stature. And I know that's a really kind of sad thing to say, but it's
true.
It's the nature of the business. I love him so much. And
I love that.
and
How good's video now? Imagine if he was seeing
crying.
that. A grown 33-year-old
Anyway.
Man. He's like, I love him.
I just reckon Jake Bowie is going to be so good. I just reckon he's just so sick. He almost doesn't do a mistake. I love him. I love him so much.
100% efficiency in the pracky against Richmond, which is not surprising because most weeks when he's playing, he's high 80s, early 90s.
He's a star.
He's elite. And it's a big year for him as well because he went off the boil a little bit last year. He lost his place at times. I think he's come back with the fire in the belly. He's a jet. I can't wait to see him as well. Mark has actually hit the nail on the head. These little guys at that stature, very, very tough for them to play AFL footy now. You've got to have exquisite skills or you've got to have ridiculous pace.
It's between the ears for him.
He can
that I
mark it
love
as
more
well.
than
He
anything.
weirdly takes big marks.
And his punches.
Yeah.
He gets up there.
Yeah.
And he spoils.
Yeah. No, he's done some amazing things on the wing close to where I stand at the G, and he's outbodied way bigger opponents than him.
The presence of mind to do
can
that
play.
banana. How quickly, if you go back and watch it, how quickly it was for him to take possession of the ball and just okay, the awareness was there to see that option there and to banana.
Yeah.
That is just insane. It's nuts.
He's a very good player, and there are a couple of others who wrote in on the socials as well.
Do I not get my one?
You will get yours. I just want to give David Cross a reference because he said Bow Wow as well, and he said ice cool Rang Daddy in defence. So we love that.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice, cool. Rang Daddy.
Can we
That's
call
cool.
him Mr. 100% maybe?
Lil Bow Wow.
Hunji?
Well, because when we won the flag, he hadn't lost, so he was pretty 100%y. And then he just went at 100%.
He's very hungy.
He's hungy.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, we can call him Hungy. That's another nickname. Adzy, you can take the floor. So this is your bolter.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's not a hell of a lot to say about this guy because he hasn't played very much, but I really like Judd McVee.
Okay.
Just from what I've seen in the practice matches. So I think when I heard you say Salem obviously being out, like I think he's someone that will put his hand up as well. And I feel like, I don't know whether it's our back line keeping these young guys with a cool head and they just set them up really well, but he just looked like from the first game we played in our eighths, was it? We played eight eighths. He just looked amazing, looked comfortable, great ball use, basically never got flustered. And I just think he looks like someone that could be really good. Like our back line is just unbelievable. And now that we have these backups is flag, basically.
Yeah. It's flag.
Very good. I think Judd McVee is going to be...
Do you have one?
I reckon he's going to be super. I've got one as well, but before I get to it, I just want to read out a few other
Please do,
bolters, and then I'll tell you mine. But
Okay.
Joey Corks, a shout out to Joey Corks.
Is he a bolter?
No, Joey Corks. Joey Corks just
As a fan,
decided
really
to send
see
in
him,
T-Mac to kick 50 plus. So
Well,
we
apparently
have
if he does that, he's going to Revolver as well.
true. And if T-Mac kicks 50 plus, then that is certified flag. There is
Yeah,
no
that's
way in the
flag.
world we're not losing a flag because the key link missing, as we know, has been those tall timber, those tall key forwards in the forward line. The other ones as well. So Sammy Murphy says Sparrow. He's put on some serious size over the summer. He'll be our new bull. I agree with that. And then I love this handle. This is on Instagram, I think. Knuckles72. Shout out to Knuckles. He said that Sparrow looks like he's been shadowing track all summer. Already has a Pirates cannon for a kick. He's ready and primed. I couldn't agree more. And this isn't my bolter, but Sparrow, he looks like a player that's finally got a little bit of poise in his game. That was the biggest takeaway from me from the pracky against Richmond. I reckon he's been a bit of a red mist player. I think Gary Lyon coined that one before on the couch, where Melbourne would just be kind of tunnel vision in their heads, no lateral thinking, bomb it long, get it on at all costs. But then in 2021, we saw Melbourne with ball in hand, a little bit more poised, a little bit more considered. That's exactly what I saw from Tommy Sparrow against Richmond. So I reckon maybe that's a track thing, shadowing him, as the fans have said. But like it looks like he's actually taking time and thinking before he exposes of the ball. I think he's got everything in his locker. I think, was it Dion Prestia that he did the don't argue to and he stuffed his pec or something and had to come off? Like the guy is
He's
a
a beast.
brute. He's an absolute brute.
He looks
And
like
I
he
think-
loves club as well.
Yeah, I think someone said it in that post you just read out, is that he's got an absolute cannon. And we saw that from him even in the grand final, and we've seen it multiple times. He can get goals from 60. He did one in the practice match as well. Set shot, flew over the fence. He would have kicked it 65 metres easy.
Yeah.
I
Like
love
he's-
how many times you reference the granny too. Constantly going back to the granny. It's
Well,
great.
it was a great day.
Why are we here?
Yeah.
We're here for grannies.
Just get to another one so I can keep referencing.
True.
running out of references.
Yeah.
And then there was a common theme. So Sparrow got a lot of love. Lil Bow Wow got a lot of love. There was a couple of Judd McVees in there as well. Cade Chandler, so Jared Ridge was big on him. He's been bashing down the door, as he says. Classy, tough, and has speed. Give him a crack. There's no doubt we're going to see him at times. Absolutely. Whether he can retain a spot remains to be seen. I think he's got everything in his locker. Like, I actually rate the guy. I think he was so far and above VFL level, but then maybe in Pergs a little bit, can't make that jump to senior level. I reckon he's ready. I reckon we might be able to find a home for him, but it's tough when you've got guys like Neil Bullen and Spargo and Pickett and the like as well, when you're competing for those spots, and Fritter as well. But I just get this feeling he'll find a way to stay in the team. So I'm big on him. I actually think he'll get a regular spot in the 23 this year. So I agree with Jared. And then the last one before I tell you mine is Steve Simons reckons that Harrison Petty's probably the most underrated player in football. There are a few other people with Steve that said Harrison Petty is an unknown quantity to a lot of the opposition AFL clubs still to this day. The Brisbane semi-final, I know, was a terrible night, and I hate to hark back to it, but I reckon that was like the one time where I finally heard media, opposition supporters talking about Harrison Petty as a bloody good footballer, because without him on that night and in that second half, like that game would have got well away from us. They were running all over us. He was one of the very few reasons why we were somewhat in the game in the latter parts of it. We've seen it firsthand week on week how good he is, but I think he might make the next step and start to become like an all-Australian fancy. I'm even going to put it out there, and you know my love for Jake Lever. I reckon he's an absolute gun. I think he's going to get to the point where people start saying that he's surpassing Jake Lever in terms of importance to the back six. That's how good I think he is. And apparently it's his first full preseason ever at the club.
That's big.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Harrison Petty love for me, and it's easy to get hyped up and be incredibly biased, which we are, but I think it's completely warranted with this bloke.
Well, that goes back to 2021 when Tomlinson was in the team, but there was hype and talk around Petty as the coaches and staff just couldn't get him in there because of his interrupted preseason. Tomlinson went down, and that was them just going, okay, now we can bring him in straight away without because Tomlinson wasn't really putting a foot wrong at that stage. And then since then, it's just been like, oh, okay, this guy's like better.
Yeah.
Like a lot better.
Way better.
Like a lot better.
Yeah.
Can I pick your bolter?
Yeah.
Rivers.
No. Can I
Okay.
pick it? Yeah, you can.
I'm going to go with
Come on.
JJ.
No, it's not JJ. The unfortunate thing for JJ, loses his spot
Because of Hunter.
back end of last year. He was fourth in the best and fairest, I believe, after round 15 or 16 last year. People forget that. It's crazy. He's going to be the unlucky story.
Can't forget something you never knew.
yeah.
But he's going to be the unlucky story, I reckon, where he'll start to lose his spot and he won't
He's
play
constantly
regular
the
games.
unlucky story.
Yeah.
Maybe we should call him unlucky.
Hunty and unlucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's stiff.
No,
Yeah,
so
Stiff.
Yeah, just straight up stiff.
my bolter's a guy that's been in the system for a while. He's still somewhat maligned by a few people because he's a midget. But
Sparg.
Spargsy.
he's a great Albury boy.
Sparks.
See, there's some home love there as
For
well.
sure.
There's
Yeah.
always some home love.
But everyone loves him. Like, he's a great ball user. I see him as a bit of, like, obviously completely different ends of the ground, but a great ball user like Bow Wow. Like, he rarely misses a target.
Especially going into the forward 50, which is
There's a
the
difference,
hardest
though.
kick in footy almost.
The thing that people want to see more of from Spargo, there's no
The
denying...
defensive pressure.
Or not defensive pressure. I think that'll come back. So I've got a belief that we're fit again, and we weren't fit at the back end of last year, and I think it was pretty obvious.
That's known.
And if there's people that you speak to that are inside the club and there's other people that were in the know, and being a football fan and just watching the way that we fell away in fourth quarters, there's no coincidence that when I think we're second in points differential for first quarters, third in points differential for second quarters, and fourth in points difference for third quarters, we're 14th or 13th for last quarters. Like, it's no hidden secret. It's a fact. Melbourne were not fit enough, and we unfortunately were a little bit arrogant, a little bit stubborn. We could have gone to the well and played players at Casey, but we didn't reward form. So we played players that were banged up, and we got what we deserved. Plain and simple. I reckon Neil Bullen, Pickett, Spargo, I reckon that frontal forward half pressure, I reckon it'll be back. I've got a firm belief that it'll be off the charts. It'll be back. The mids will track back as we saw in the prackies.
And that's where Chandler comes into play, because he has that kind of that hunger, I guess, of like, okay, if I do find a place in the team, I'm gonna have to dogfight for this spot in the team every single week. And what does a dogfight look like? That looks like tackling, it looks like pressure, it looks like doing all the dirty things up forward to maintain a spot, and which the likes of Spargo and Neil Bullen did so well in 2021.
What Spargo will
reference.
do really well this year, and I think this is where he makes the massive leap from being... I reckon the word serviceable is really harsh. I've never liked it, but I think there's still a portion of Melbourne supporters that think he's exactly that. I think he'll go from that label with some people that still think what is his role in the team, to someone that is absolutely critical. Because the thing about Spargo, the only difference he needs to make to his game is just get more of the pill. Simple. He only averages,
12.
10, 12, 13
And when
touches.
he gets it, how good is it?
It's amazing.
I think you said, Marco, his entry inside forward 50 last year when we just couldn't do it. Whenever he got it, he was hitting a target. Like he was one of the only players that would lower his eyes and just make sure that he uses the ball well.
I reckon Melbourne
But
have
even
a
if
plan.
it's- sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I think even if it is just a jump to 15
a
week, like that, I know that's not a massive difference if you're like comparing yourself to like a Clary or something who just like gets it. But they're in the cauldron. But for someone who plays that position, which is a really tricky position to play, it's not like you're a focal forward where like people are looking out for you. You kind of get forgotten a bit. But if he is getting 15, and we know how well he can use it, that can translate to 6 goal assists. You know what I mean? Or 6 score involvements or whatever it's called.
Correct.
And that's massive.
So disposals average last year 11.8. So
Yeah.
we're absolutely on the money. The guy just needs to get a little bit more of the footy. From what I'm seeing and the way that Melbourne's set up in those practice matches, it looks like he's in better positions. It looks like he's going to get more of the ball. And if he does, I mean, man, I'm with Marco. Like it could end up being an extra 2 or 3 goals on the scoreboard. That's how impactful he is.
And the likes of, say, a Hunter who's now on the wing who doesn't blaze and looks for those options, those shorter kicks, you can just see Spargo and Hunter gelling really well together because they're quite like-minded in the way that they do dispose of the ball and how they do look for those short, quick options, best options available. I can see there's a bit of linkage that's going to be happening there.
100%.
The other bolter that I noticed
here we go.
in the prackies was Rivers going. That's why I thought you're going to be on Rivers, but he just seems like he's just perky again, like and
He
zippy, like he's
fantastic.
He was
Perky.
looking
Also, he's Perky, another nickname. Also, he's got a cannon as well. He's another one with a cannon.
but he just looked really sleek and quick and just like
Yeah.
okay, he got my
And
attention.
he
big time.
looks full AFL size now. Like he
Yeah.
looks like a big unit. By the way, just going through these players at the moment, I'm like, our list
team is so mint.
unbelievable. Like,
Yeah,
what is this?
yeah. This is crazy.
I keep saying it. It's like
And because we've already mentioned
have to capitalize on it.
We've
Well,
already
we have to.
mentioned like a team. We've already mentioned too many players to field a team, and that's like
We haven't even spoken about Bubble Clary, hardly spoken about Track, hardly spoken about Angus Brayshaw.
we don't need to almost.
But it's like
it's
those
not
sort of players. It's you just know that they're like
the best.
they're in the
Best in the
cloud.
comp.
Yeah, so just have fun, fellas.
Freo Watch. Are we going to Freo Watch?
Freo watch, yeah.
Yeah, it's for,
This is what
for
you
the show this year.
really.
Well,
have
it's
for
not
that
going
game.
well because Freo absolutely mauled Port in their pracky, and
Port though,
I had
Yeah.
a look at it. Brody got 36, Brayshaw 36, Sarong 32. They were dominant. 5 kick 3 up forward. And I was
What
just
did
like,
Jackson do?
he didn't play. I think that's the win. There. But Freo Watch not going well so far. But there was no official points.
Early days.
There's no official points.
They have St Kilda round 1, who might come second last.
True.
Yeah,
With it like King out is like so
they've
big
got
for them.
no king kicking points.
Well, this is where we're
And then
going.
Membry's out at the moment as well, which is just like that's stiff
they're
for them.
they're nowhere.
This is
Yeah.
where we're going then. So I want to do the top 8. I want to just work through it, and we can start from the bottom.
You start from the top because you know it's easy.
Okay, so we'll start from the top. So
D's.
Melbourne,
Geelong.
I think D's,
Sydney.
Geelong. I'd go Brisbane 3 personally.
Okay.
Sydney,
And then Sydney
And then
4.
Sydney. Okay.
playing
yeah,
Sydney
yeah,
at the Gina final again. Ooh.
Hopefully we've learnt and hopefully we're fit.
The Sydney game in round 3 at the G for me,
Oh,
and I know
yeah.
our run's
No,
interesting.
wait. Round 3.
Round 3 against Sydney,
Well, round 2, man. Like we've got
Brisbane.
We've got a big first. I mean, dogs are
Our
like I'm
first,
not.
like,
I'm not. I'm
6
not
rounds are-
banking. Like every game is. If you're off in any way, like it's good night.
The first 3 rounds are huge. Doggies, Gabba,
If you go 3 and zip, it's so flaggy.
Sydney.
So
We just
flaggy.
need, if we go 4-1,
Yeah.
that's.
Do we play Sydney twice?
Yep, last round at the SCG.
Should
But then
go
when
to
do we
that?
play Brisbane twice? On the second
like
time.
round
Isn't it?
18 or something
Yeah, yeah,
at the
yeah.
G.
No, Gabba.
No, we got Gabba first, round 2.
Oh, that's nice. Get it out.
We
of the
like
way.
the Gabba.
We like travelling.
Yeah.
We like Brisbane.
Okay, so that's our top 4, 5 to 8. What are we thinking? I've got Carlton fifth.
I was just going to say the same thing.
I actually think they're going to
And
finally
do you know what?
deliver.
Blues are a team that remind me a lot of what we came from. Like that year that we missed the 8 just on percentage, they've literally just done that as well. And they have a really solid fullback. They have an amazing midfield. Brownlow medalist, probably one of the best midfielders in Walsh as well, if you can get on the park. And then also they have 2 Coleman medalists in their forward line. They just need to basically believe and stay relatively fit, and they can easily end up in that top 4.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And I would, yeah, you're right. I would push Sydney out for them if that was the case, for them to like kind of get everyone on the park. But it looks as if they've got a couple of key injuries at the moment.
Yeah.
And who knows how long that's going to last for. But last year, like almost their most important player in Wiedering was down massively.
Yeah.
Like, and then you've got Marchbank basically didn't really play. McGovern didn't really play. If they get their backline settled for the whole year, it's pretty scary. I'm going to be honest, it's pretty scary. Because they have the big weapons.
Well, you can understand the hype. Like, it's
yeah.
obvious.
Well, they've had hype for ages.
Yeah.
Can I just go back a step quickly?
Please.
I just had someone tell me today, and I'm happy to be corrected here again. This is
Sure.
on the Salem path. But apparently a team since 1995 that has lost a grand final by over 50 points hasn't won a first final the year after.
Hasn't bounced back.
Hasn't bounced back.
Yeah.
So the Swans got absolutely smashed. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
Is that going to cripple them?
I think it's a fair theory because it's obviously happened, and this is history.
Fact?
But
Well, I mean, it might
But
not.
they're 2-star. They're 2-star studded. They're still very raw. They get another year into these players. They got the chip on their shoulder. They're really good. Like
Yeah,
really,
but
good. And they've got a great coach.
Yeah, for sure. And they've got that weird home ground advantage where they play on that kind of little thing. But
Oz kick ground.
I still don't like. I love what Rampy does. The 2 McCartan brothers, they're solid. They're solid, but I'm not like they're like absolute A graders. I'm not gonna put them in like the absolutes.
Yeah.
But
Agree.
they're really solid. But in terms of their forward line, like
He tore us up.
he did, but like one of the worst grand final performances I've ever seen.
Shouldn't have played him.
Shouldn't have played him
Whack.
for sure.
Whack.
And then you've got Logan McDonald, who is gonna be a star, and like I really
Maybe a
like
bit too
Logan.
green.
Yeah, but Buddy's like, I mean, they can't be relying on Buddy.
What they have though, they have like Callum Mills, who's just an absolute workhorse. Like runs both ways. Jet, Warner, man,
Errol
Warner.
Goulden.
Warner's a freak.
As well.
Oh, Goulden.
So
Goulden's-
preseason game?
Yeah.
45-3.
No, they're gonna be.
Uh-oh.
The thing about them, it's
Heaney goes all right.
not necessarily talent.
I like Sydney for flat.
It's not necessarily. It's not a talent thing. It's all between the ears.
Blakey, one of my favourite players to watch.
The Lizard, yeah.
The Liz.
It's all between the ears. It's like, how do you bounce back from such a devastating defeat? It's pretty simple because the talent base is stupid. Like, it's really good. And they're going to be contending for a number of years. I actually get the feeling that if Melbourne stay in the premiership window for another 3-4 years, with Clarion, Track and the like, you know, keeping us in that window because they are match winners, I reckon Sydney will end up being our direct rival.
Yeah, but who is their ruckman? Naismith?
And old mate Hickey, who's probably on the way out.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what are we going? 5 to 8. We're going Carlton. Let's rattle them off. Who's 6? Bulldogs.
Yeah, I reckon the changes they've made is pretty. And I think Jamara, like everyone was like giving him a hard time, but like he's gonna be a freak.
All right. Next one. I reckon I'm keeping Collingwood in my.
Pies. Yeah, I'll go Pies.
You keeping him in?
Yeah.
I reckon slight drop off.
I
still
think
got
I
some
know.
great
I
players.
see them sliding, but I see them finishing between 8th, 9th, 10th.
Okay. So who are we putting in 7? Is it a Freo? Is it a Richmond?
Oh, yeah, Freo. You'd have to put Freo, sorry.
We're not putting Richmond in?
Yeah, all right. It's
Yeah,
pretty tight
this
year.
is pretty tough.
Who knocks out?
See,
I don't-
I see.
So I'd go
at the
Freo.
start, I've said Freo slide.
Well, I'd say Freo.
I said Freo slide.
I'd go Freo 7 and then Collingwood 8, and I'm saying that who was my slider?
Freo Spoon, pick one maybe.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I mean, they look pretty good.
I see them sliding a bit, but then I think they've got a really bright future. They're still really young,
100%.
and raw. But I can see them. I can see them sliding this year, and I think that's mainly. And I know this is weird to say because of Lob, but I think structurally he was really important for them, and that goes back to my point earlier about them like putting all their eggs in one basket for a miss, who is 20, and Fife, who has never played full forward. He's a champion footballer and one of the best players I've seen, but he's been pretty injury prone. And if you're resting your laurels on those two guys for kicking bulk goals,
Chuck's them
and Tabiner, who loves getting injured, then it's a really easy slide option for me.
So 7 to 8 is so it's a Collingwood, it's maybe a Freo, it's maybe a Richmond.
Yeah,
I think Richmond will miss. I do not believe in any of it.
Either.
I honestly don't believe in it. I've been saying it for a while now. A lot of people have shot me down even last year. I'm like, I honestly believe, and we spoke about it off the top, there's too many players that are over the hill for me. And I think their reliance on a couple of new recruits, one that's a butcher in my opinion in Taranto, and the other one, Hopper, who I think is a pretty accomplished footballer.
I think Taranto is a lot better than Hopper.
I believe that
Taranto's
Hopper's the
a
better
gun.
player.
Really?
Yeah,
Nah, I
Okay.
think
I've enjoyed watching him way more personally.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll see what transpires. But the point being, I think they'll slide. That's in and around the mark of the 8. I think you can rattle off a number of teams that probably won't get there, like GWS, Essendon, a Port. They won't make it.
Saints.
Well, Saints obviously, but the bottom 4. Sorry, Derek. Well, who's the bottom 4 then?
But the
Because
other thing
I don't want to go through.
The
in
other thing is,
chronological
I can
order.
see a Gold Coast popping off.
Yeah, same.
I can see a Gold.
So they're
King back into that side could do some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
True.
Then you got Chol, and
Took.
then
Took.
Cashbolt, and I'm thinking their forward line.
Yeah, they're off.
Took.
They're on. They could be flat.
People have said, could it be the year they actually make it? And the one thing I'll say, like Melbourne, as we know,
They scare us all the time.
touch wood,
when we play 'em.
we should be making the top 4. We understand like the pedigree of the team and who we support now.
Book it.
But I would love to see the Suns make the finals.
Yeah,
Like,
big
it's
time.
warm the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get around them so hard.
Yeah,
like
we
I
just
go to a
annihilate
pub
them.
and put a sun scarf on and really get behind them.
Yeah.
Almost go to the game.
Almost go to the Collingwood Hotel, which is around the corner.
Yeah, can
Yeah.
we give them a shout out before we wrap up?
Yeah, great pub.
Love it.
Is that it?
I think it's Palmer night.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to get off your chest before we wrap up?
I just want to get into it next week so bad.
Oh, hang on.
Okay.
We're going to preview it. So, Adzy, you had the lead. You were the source of this. But next week, we have a very special guest in the studio.
Yep.
None other than the man that could have been better than Wayne Carey.
Such a big call, but love it.
A lot of people say it. But the Ox, David Schwartz, will join us on a Wednesday night
Yep.
in here. And I'm a bit rattled. I think Marca was the same as me. First jumper I ever had the number 5 on it. So, fuck, it's a
still
big
have
deal.
it.
Yeah.
I think when you called me the other night and you said, hey, man, the Ox might be on.
How did you get the Ox?
Oh, I freaked out.
You know.
Yeah. You don't need to get into it.
My wife, Fee, was like, are you okay? And I was like, oh,
No.
I was like, my childhood hero. Like, honestly, I was obsessed with him as a kid. So
Yeah. It was him and Wiz for mine that were just
same.
that I just love.
It's going to be an honour and a pleasure.
It will be a pleasure. And if there's any questions, maybe send them through.
Send them through.
Yeah,
We'll,
loyal listeners, if you've got anything you want to ask the Ox.
Yeah. And he loves D's.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing about his thoughts on the current crop, what he thought of last year, what he thinks is going forward this year, and just being in his presence.
Yeah. We're going to be rattled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We
Totally
may need
right.
to have a couple of responsible drinks.
Couple
before
of
we,
responsible settlers, maybe
Yeah.
at Hotel Collingwood.
Yeah, a couple of mid-strengths, couple of, really responsible.
settlers.
Yeah.
I like that. That was
Mm.
good. thanks, boys. It's been a pleasure. But the Ox
you.
next week, it's going to be fun.
And
Definitely.
it doesn't matter if we do it on a Thursday night because the teams won't be out anyway. So it's not like we'll have any new information or there'll be a loose, 26-person squad or something.
Nah, it's fine. I mean, I think what'll end up happening next week, I might do a 20-minute pod over a video call with Nuggo, who's down in Geelong now, by the way.
Poor bastard.
Yeah, don't know about that. But very excited for the Ox, very excited for the season start. It's been a pleasure sitting in the studio with you lads at Castaway. Big shout out to Derek.
Thanks,
Derek.
Our man pulling the strings behind the scenes. And yes, it is a video podcast now, so it's available on YouTube. But don't forget, you can get it where all your favourite podcasts are as well. So if you want to change your consumption habit as a DeeBrief fan, then you can. You can watch us waxing lyrical about the D's. But it's a huge year. Melbourne are well and truly in their premiership window. And let's win one at the G, boys.
Let's do it.
Big year.
Thanks for listening to The DeeBrief, and of course, a big thanks, as always, to Liquorland, who are proud partners of The DeeBrief. Another big year of AFL footy ahead, so don't forget, Liquorland, they have you sorted for your drinks before and during the game. From the land you love, drink responsibly. Catch you next week.